The recap is brought to you by General Effect Media. Be sure to follow and subscribe to GEM for reviews, breakdowns, rankings, and other podcasts such as Bring It In. We've also introduced the 2023 DCI Score Dashboard by bandscores.net and a new article series called Back of the Bus. Be sure to check out all of that and more on General Effect Media. It's the recap for Sunday, August 6, 2023, the year of our chapel, 7:15 p.m. in the Superior Time Zone. I'm Daniel Montoya Jr., and it's here, seemingly in a blink of an eye, the final week of the 2023 Drum Corps International competitive season. A week from today, we will be celebrating a champion, celebrating the end of the season, discussing what happened on those fateful nights in World Championship prelims, semifinals, finals, and already looking ahead. Many of us have long since been looking ahead to the 2024 season. Some of us moving into marching band season, some of us moving back into real life, real jobs, etc. But for now, we are a few days away from the championship prelims for World Class taking place on Thursday, Open Class prelims and finals taking place tomorrow, the 7th, and Tuesday, the 8th, with Wednesday being a day of rest, because on the 7th day, we rested. So before we jump into Allentown and my predictions of how this week's going to go, let's talk about the schedule, because as we know, we dictate the performance order of prelims, correct me if I'm wrong, nerd, based off of the scores from the three major shows of the season: San Antonio, Atlanta/Nightbeat, and then Allentown, which we can go into a whole nother discussion about. 2 out of 3 of those shows are 2 different nights, albeit with the same panel. But regardless, there's only one show that you really see everyone top to bottom, and that's San Antonio. Whereas the Atlanta, South Carolina show, and then the Allentown show across 2 nights, same judging panel, all the cores, but regardless, that's not the point. So we're looking at Thursday, August 10th. These times are Eastern, the inferior time zone. The first 11 slots stepping off at noon will be reserved for the open class participants. This year, there are only 11 cores in the open class going to championships. All 11 will advance to finals. So congrats to all of them for doing that. And like I said earlier, if Memphis Blues had gone, they would have been a finalist in their first season, but I don't know that they would have been allowed to. But regardless, the first world class that steps off will be at 3:47 p.m., which will be the Jersey Surf. They are currently, I guess, they did not attend San Antonio. I don't believe they attended Atlanta or Crown Beat. I could be mistaken, but that doesn't matter. So they will be in the 12th position. I'm sorry, I was looking, they'll be the 12th performance. They're the first world class, followed by the Seattle Cascades, then Genesis, Music City, Madison Scouts, and the Academy. That's your first block, the only block of world-class cores that are not going to be performing for the Big Loud and Live or big whatever the DCI movie theater show is called. The Cinecast will begin after the 68-minute intermission, starting with the Spirit of Atlanta. Don't call it a comeback. A core that had been gone for a few years because of COVID, because of administrative stuff. They're back, and they've had sort of a roller coaster season, in a good position to potentially set off a 12, 13, 14, 15, 4-core battle for that 12th spot. Spirit of Atlanta in that 15th spot. Crossman is next in the 14th spot. Pacific Crest follows in the 13th. Blue Knights in that 12th place position, Colts, and then Troopers. And then we have an intermission, and then we start the last block with Blue Stars, then Cavaliers, then Cadets, then Phantom Regiment, then Mandarins in that 5th position, Carolina Crown 4th to last, Blue Coats 3rd to last, Boston 2nd to last, and Blue Devils first last, right? They're the last place, the last core to perform. Now, on prelims night, scores are announced throughout. So I would imagine scores from the first block, first world-class block, will be announced. World-class block. I'm British. I don't know what that was. Will be announced during that first intermission. I would imagine then, or maybe they're going to wait to announce it at the very beginning of the Cinecast. I can't remember how that goes. Then the second block will probably be announced during intermission. And then the last block, they're going to hold all those scores, potential, at least the top four, to the very end. 11:24 p.m., they slate the last score to be announced. 11:30 directors meeting. This is all Eastern time. So if you're on the Superior time zone, or if you're in California, I think you might have time for the news at that point. But that's our performance order. And this is all based off of what happened at the DCI Eastern Classic. Now, if we go top to bottom here, Blue Devils are in first by only 0.3 over the Boston Crusaders, 95.775 to 95.475. But wait, the Carolina Crown are in third with a 95.438. That is right. They're a little bit under 4/10 behind the Blue Devils, but wait, it gets better. The Bluecoats in fourth with a 95.25, a little bit more than 5/10 away. Basically, 5 to 6/10 separates first through fourth place. Is it anybody's contest? Up until this point, I would have said, no, what are you talking about? I don't think that's even a realm of possibility. Do I think we're closer to a non-Blue Devil champion happening this year? Yes. Do I think the Blue Devils still win? Also yes. But I think there's a little bit more drama going into Thursday that I fully believe will be less dramatic by the end of Thursday. I think it's going to be one of those things where like the championship basketball team for the NBA loses like a game in round one or like a game in round two, but then they get to the finals and they just like sweep. I'm still very confident in my prediction of the Blue Devils winning. Spoiler alert before I get to my predictions, but Blue Devils not. So that was the top four. Cadets in fifth. Now that goes against the Mandarins, but it's the average. I think one of the nerds, maybe Band Scores AI, figured out that they think the Cadets and Mandarins actually tied. But Mandarins won the tiebreaker or something. So Cadets 92.125. Looks like that was their score. 92.125. Yes, Mandarins 91.988. Phantom on their heels 91.975. Basically, Mandarins and Phantom are a toss-up. But Cavaliers not that far. They're almost a point away. So it is far, but not out of the realm of possibility. Cavaliers in eighth place 91.050. So we have those two neighborhoods, 1 through 4, 5 through 8. And then we have a completely different neighborhood of the Troopers and Colts. Troopers, 88.525. Colts, 88.163. 9 and 10. Nothing is certain. I think 9 and 10 could go either way. I think the Blue Stars and the are on island. Like that, they're 11th place. They're going to be 11th place, 87.55. And then there's a huge jump, almost 2 points, if not 2 points, to 12th place. And this is where we get into that four-core battle. Even though the scores are a little different based on what happened at Allentown. Crossman, 85.388, currently in the pole position. Blue Knights, 84.688. So it's not there yet. It's 7/10 away. Spirit of Atlanta. Do you capitalize the O in of? Because on our bandscores.net dashboard, it does say Spirit of Atlanta. 83.938. Pacific Crest in 15th with an 83.825. Then we get to the next chunk, the non-movie theater folk. The Academy, 82.025. Madison Scouts, 81.913. Music City, 80.250. Genesis, 78.275. So that's where we currently stand based on the Allentown show, the Eastern Classic. Now, one thing I want to take a look at is if we go to the DCI website, they have a rankings ability that you can go check. And I'm sure a lot of people are checking it out just to see what it looks like. And if you go to it and you add all classes, you can kind of see where everybody is ranking some of the groups. I'm sorry, where the groups are ranked. We'll talk about gem rankings in a little bit. And really, the first through 16, 17, 18, nothing changes. Based on the highest score, the Spartans, however, jump into 19th with a 79.85. Gold is also tied with a 79.85. Those two open class scores are on top of Genesis in 21st place. Then we have Southwind, 76.9. They're an open class drum corps. Atlanta CV, that doesn't count. I think they're DCA, right? Blue Devils B, they are not going to Indianapolis. Jersey Surf currently in that 25th position, 74.975. Seattle Cascades currently in 27th place based on what they perform. Now, BDB, Atlanta CV, take those out, and I think Seattle and Jersey Surf will comfortably be in semifinals. The break is 25. Now, in our gem rankings, which we have the final week poll going out right now. So Wednesday, you will see the next one. As someone who gets to see the tabulation behind the scenes, there's only two people that get to see the voting list. And one person gets to see the voting list, and that's your boy. And then two people get to see the scores, the tabulations, the tabulator and myself. And Spartans have been getting a few votes in that 15th place position. I'm not spoiling anything. I'm not outing anybody. But there's a lot of faith. There's a lot of confidence enough in our voters for someone to say, I think the Spartans are going to get 15th place. Do I think they're going to get 15th? I'm not sure. I'm not even sure they're going to win open class. It could be gold. Gold could be the one that could overtake Spartans and potentially get into, do I think 15th place? I'm not really certain of that. Pacific Crest right now are ranked scoring 83.825. Spartans 79.85. So we're talking over a 4-point difference. So do I think any of them will be 15th? No. Do I think they could get as high as 17th? Maybe 16th? I know that you're like, well, what's the difference between 15 and 16? I'll tell you what the difference between 15 and 16. Right now, the 15th place drum corps, 83.825. The 16th place drum corps, 81.918. Though that's sort of what score is that? That's the most recent. Yeah, that's the most recent score. When you do the averages, it all gets kind of wonky on that. 82.025. Yeah. So you know what? 17th place. Do I think a Spartans or gold could jump to 17th place? Yes. 17th place. I think that's entirely possible, but we will have to wait and see till Friday. So let's get into my predictions. Now, last week, I openly shared my voting for the DCI power rankings powered by Jim, right? Like, I'm not going to tell you who the other voters are. I'm not going to tell you what other voters did. That's not my place. And that's part of the allure of our voters is the anonymity. But I'm going to go in some different orders, I'm not going to, you know who I think is going to win. I'm putting Blue Devils, but let's go backwards. We'll go like snake order, like we're doing a draft, which doesn't make sense to me. But first place, Blue Devils. I think the Blue Devils are going to win again. They are going to win 3 championships in 5 years. Not a three-peat. They're going to win their 3rd championship in 5 years. Hashtag not a three-peat. All right. 15th place. 15th place, I'm going Pacific Crest. I know they were the trendy pick. They are 2 of the most trendy drum corps this summer. And I am not feeling either of these drum corps as much as definitely the Gem Slack and maybe a lot of people on the interwebs. But I think Pacific Crest is going to finish in 15th place. You can see the trends. You can see momentum has slowed. Pacific Crest, I think, finishes 15th place. I think we see somewhat of a repeat from last year with the boys from Boston in 2nd place. 2nd place, Boston Crusaders. I think... can I say they don't catch their white whale? I don't remember how Moby Dick ends. Does he catch the white whale? Does he get swallowed by the white whale? Am I mixing my Bible stories? Pinocchio? I'm not really sure. But regardless, I don't think Boston seals the deal. I think they finish in 2nd place. If we go to 14th place, there was a take on Facebook. I won't out this person, but they said, I think 12th place will be a battle between Spirit of Atlanta and Pacific Crest. And he was right. There is a battle between Spirit of Atlanta and Pacific Crest, but it's for 14th place. And I think Spirit of Atlanta finishes in 14th, which I would assume if I was a member or a staff designer or any of that, they would be very happy with that, considering they had no idea how things were going to look after COVID, after missing the celebration show, and after missing the first competitive season back. So I believe Spirit's going to finish strong, 14th place, and that's going to set them up really well for next year. 3rd place, I think the Carolina Crown take home the 3rd place. The Knights of the Round Table, King Arthur, Guinevere, Lancelot. That's 3. I think Carolina Crown ultimately finishes in 3rd place. Then we go to the 13th place drum corps. And this one's going to be a toss-up. And I feel less confident in my 12 through 15th place than I feel in my 1 through 11. And I think that's probably the same for most people. Hopefully not the same for the judges. But I believe that the Crossmen will finish 13th place. I think they will once again finish out of finals for the 2nd season in a row, 3rd or 4th if you count COVID and the celebration tour. But, we're not counting that. Actually, we are, because that's why it's hashtag not a three-peat. Crossmen finishes in 13th place. And then we get to 4th place, and this is a change, and I've already changed stuff from my last week's predictions. I think the Bluecoats finish in 4th place, watching the show at Allentown, not in Allentown, but watching it through the stream, hashtag thanks, Flo. I like Blue Coach. I think it's fine. But last year was so much better. And I don't think that this show is firing on all cylinders yet. And I'm not sure that they have enough time to fire on all cylinders to fix all the things. I think there is still a little bit of musical dirt. I think there's a little bit of visual dirt. And you can use a different range to describe it. And I don't think the show is connecting in the way that last year's show did. And I think Crown and Boston, and certainly the Blue Devils are finding ways to maximize that emotional connection with the audience. And for that reason, that's why I think the Blue Coats are in fourth place. We go to 12th, and if the Crossmen are 13th, you know that means that I think the Blue Knights are going to finish in 12th. I think that we are going to see a zip codian type of caption breakdown between 12, 13, 14, 15th place. And I think the Blue Knights will be the most quote unquote average enough to propel them to 12th place, a triumphant return to finals after missing out last year. It'll still be close between them and Crossmen. I would not doubt if we see like the smallest of tenths or whatever the smallest value is between a 12th place and 13th place drum corps. I think we're going to see that. And I think that the Blue Knights are going to finish out in 12th place. 5th place, it's not a stretch to say 5th, 6th, and 7th could completely have different places, different corps in those places on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I'm not the first to say it, won't be the last to say it. I think the Phantom Regiment are on it, and I think the Phantom Regiment are going to get 5th, and I think it's going to be closer to Blue Coats than people think, certainly more than the Blue Coats want. I think the Phantom Regiment are going to ride these 3 shows and just ride them to a very comfortable 5th place by finals. They may not do it Thursday. They may not do it Friday. I think they'll do it for sure on Saturday. Phantom Regiment finishes in 5th place. 11th place on an island all by themselves, the Blue Stars. I think they will be far enough ahead of Blue Knights and far enough behind Troopers. They should not be worried about not making finals, but their 11th place is theirs. Like it's like that's the one other actually, honestly, you could probably say that's the only drum corps in the top 12 that I think you certainly don't want to bet anything because you'd lose money. They're going to get 11th place. Like that's what's going to happen. Blue Devils, I'm less confident in it, but I'm still pretty darn confident that the Blue Devils are going to win. We go to 6th place, and I think it's the Cadets. I think by Saturday, the Cadets finish out in 6th place. Execution will take them there. I think that's what's going to happen. So 6th place to the Cadets. Just does that drop them a spot, or is that's the same spot they were last summer? I believe they were probably hoping that with the absence of Santa Clara, or even with Santa Clara coming back, that they could push into that 5th place. I think that the show is starting to connect more with people, but I'm not entirely sure that they will be able to win General Effect over Phantom Regiment. I just don't think it's going to happen. In fact, I don't think that the Cadets win General Effect over a corps or 2 that place below them, but they will out-execute the next 2 corps below them and everyone else below them. We go back now to 10th place, and I think Troopers finish in 10th place. It's going to be a battle between them and Colts. I think that's another thing that switches back and forth all weekend. But at the end of the day, I think Troopers will finish in 10th place. Now, I mentioned the corps du jour, the trendy picks of the Gem Slack. Pacific Crest is one of those corps. The Mandarins is another one of those corps. And that show has a lot of GE. It's a lot of fun. It had a lot of mo coming out of the gate. Much like Pacific Crest, similarly, I think they're losing a little bit of steam because I think other drum corps are catching up to them, especially in the execution captions. Show design, I think, is really pulling them along. It's the tail wagging the dog. But I'm not sure that they are improving at the same rate that some of the other drum corps around them are. Hashtag, or IE rather, Phantom Regiment Cadets, and even the Cavaliers. So this is why, this may be my most boneheaded pick, and feel free to call me out on it if this does not happen. I think the Cavaliers finish in 7th place by the end. I mentioned it last week, and I'll mention it again. I think that the Cavaliers percussion section is going to inspire this group to finish strong, and the Cavaliers, look, I will join a number of people that thought when we saw the Cavaliers first come out, oh boy, this was not going to go well. I had thought this could be was it 15 Minutes of Fame that was 10th place? Is that the show? Some nerd correct me. I was predicting this in my mind to be maybe the lowest placing Cavaliers show in years. But the men of the Cavaliers of Rosemont are turning it on. They're cleaning it up, and I think the percussion is pulling them along. And I truly think that the Cavaliers by Saturday, by the tiniest of hairs, are going to finish 7th place over the trendy pick, the Mandarins, which leaves us in 9th place with the Colts. I think, like I said, the Colts and Troopers go back and forth. I think ultimately Mandy's in 8th, Colts in 9th, Troopers in 10th. And that's how I think it's going to come out. It may be completely different. And by completely, I may be off a place or 2, right? 5th through 8th is going to be a toss-up. 9th and 10th can go either way. 11th locked in. That's your pick of the week. Like if you don't put money on 11th place, because It is known, as they say. And then 12th through 15th, that's going to go crazy. Caption wise, I think General Effect Blue Devils. I think Visual Blue Devils. I think Color Guard Blue Devils. I think Brass Blue Devils. And I think Percussion Cavaliers. And I've heard people go like, well, I don't know if they can do it on finals night. But let's remember how captions are awarded. And that's a whole other discussion, because I wish we were consistent on our champions and our captions. Like, both of them need to be either that Saturday night, or all of them need to be an average. But regardless, I think if you have these drum lines over 3 nights, the Cavaliers are going to be the strongest. They're going to be the most consistent over 3 nights. Their score is going to be similar to the Bluecoats last year, where they're going to be just tried and true. They may lose a night here. They may lose 2 nights. I'm not sure. But I'm not sure that we have seen enough from Boston Blue Devils or Crown, Boston Blue Devils, or Bluecoats rather, not Crown. Sorry, Crown. I don't think any of those other 3 will be consistent enough to overtake the Cavaliers 3 nights in a row. So in conclusion, Cavaliers take best percussion. As we said, these first 2 nights are going to be open class shows. There are a few world class shows still going on Monday and Tuesday. There might be one tonight, Sunday, August 6th. I could just easily look at the schedule, but I'm not. Okay. And then we have a break, because on the 7th day we rest. And then Thursday, the whole shebang gets together and we get a little wild. So as I look at the DCI website, no shows tonight. Tomorrow, Cincinnati, Marion, Indiana. That's an open class show. Canton, world class. Edinburgh, I believe that's an open class show. I could be wrong. Tuesday, Marion, Indiana, because that's the open class championship. So Tuesday, Wednesday, no world class shows. I will probably be back to do an episode on Wednesday, leading us up to Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then, ladies and germs, ladles and germs, that's the end of the drum corps season. And I will be going on hiatus for a time. Before we get to the fun of marching band season. It won't mean I won't drop by and drop in a few things, especially if it's cool and interesting. People announced as going to drum corps can't happen till after Labor Day. So I would assume the next scheduled episode after this finals week will be Labor Day-ish. But that doesn't mean people can't announce that they're leaving places. And people do that publicly on social media all the time. So we'll round them up and we'll talk about it. But before we go, I would like to talk about and give a little shout out to some of the stuff we're doing at GEM this coming week. This Friday and Saturday, we did Cocktails and Critique, as named by Wesley Sullivan and Matthew Carsonson. Matthew is the host of the Bring It In podcast, as well as his series Back O the Bus. Back O, that would be what Wes would say as a mass hole, as he would say. But it was an idea like very Manning cast almost, sort of. And we experimented with some stuff on Discord on Friday and Saturday. Your boy is not a Discord person. It confuses me and scares me. I like Slack much better because it just moves slower. And who knows? Regardless, we tried it out. We're working out some bugs, and we're going to come back new and improved for sure, I believe, on Friday and Saturday, semis and finals. We may do open class stuff. I'm not sure we're going to do Thursday, because most people that are going to watch this will watch it at the movie theater, right? I'm not sure. Regardless, you should follow us, General Effect Media, on Instagram and Twitter, or subscribe to the Substack so that you can get all the announcements of it. We'll try to have some special guests, and we're going to work out some bugs so that we can keep doing this in the fall and focus on marching band stuff. We can do it and focus on the spring, WGI, and then next summer, we have some plans in regards to Drum Corps International and how to up the game, up the show every year at GEM. This is year 2. We're trying to make things better, have more offerings, give you more news, give you more things to see, to read, to listen to. And I would just highly suggest, if you can, go check out the Discord. Come stop in for Cocktails and Critique. You can, there's chat boxes. You can text us and we'll talk about it. We're going to work out guest scheduling so it's not so chaotic. I believe Friday night was a really strong night for us, but we're going to get better. We're going to improve, and we're going to give you some quality content, entertainment, as I like to say. So check it out. Check out the Discord. Check out our Instagram, Twitter, Substack, so you can get all of that information. And we look forward to seeing you at all that stuff. I'll be back on Wednesday, August 9th. So till then, we'll see you out in the. I'll see you in the funny pages.